today, let's try and debunk some myths, or I don't know how I can say it. Clear some of the basic stuff so that everybody can understand when somebody is referring to funding rate or predicted funding rate or what does that mean. And especially the most important thing is how does it influence your own trading. Um, so JD, you want me to start my first half?
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah,
Okay, and please step in if you want to add something.
yeah.
Uh, if I don't cover everything. Mr. Zombie, I cannot, man, I cannot handle this risk management. We've been talking for 5 months, man. You have 4 hours of video. I mean, after watching 4 hours of video 10 times, if you don't know how to size, then risk three
Someone, you've been
percent.
sniffing the DMs.
Mr. Zombie, the purpose of risk management is to have some kind of framework uh, on more important than what you risk per trade, let's say it, have a framework of how will you save yourself from when you're tilting. And that is why you see the subject of having an daily account drawdown limit or overall account drawdown limit or some kind of drawdown limit to prevent yourself from revenge trading, or to have like some kind, even if it's like, let's call it a spot trading, and you have manual invalidation based on whatever time frame you're trading on. Maybe it's higher time frame, like a daily close, or a medium time frame like a 12-hour or 6-hour close. You need to have some kind of methodology to cut off your losses on certain percentages of lost account. Now if you expect to quickly make profit from a 1K account, there is no risk management to help you with that. Because as you say, if you cannot, if 1% or 2%, let's call it 3%, okay? 3%, you're thinking about the nominal value. When you shouldn't think about the nominal value, you need to think about the percentage value of what are you doing. Because trading is something that is highly scalable. If you cannot handle slowly growing a 1K account and becoming consistently profitable, not month after month, but maybe quarter after quarter or stuff like that, you will not be able to handle more than that. As in, if you cannot handle growing a 1K account, you'll not be able to handle a 5K account, you'll not be able to handle a 10K account, and so on. Why? Because the more you focus on the nominal value, okay, the more likely you are to make mistakes. Now, of course, mistakes happen. We all have moments of tilting and stuff like that. But if you don't have a fail-safe mechanism to stop yourself, you can just destroy the whole account in one day. Okay? So if you feel fine risking 3%, then we're talking about a $30 loss on a 1K account, then do $30. It's okay. It's a 3% risk. I'm sure if you would have a 100K account, maybe you would think twice before risking 3%, or maybe not. I don't know. But I'm just saying that's your risk. Fine, do 3%, but have at least some kind of daily drawdown limit that prevents yourself from getting liquidated, which happened in the past to everybody. Okay? So please just have some kind of daily drawdown limit.
Wow, do you see Binance just listed Ghibli on
Yeah,
Alpha?
man, that's crazy. BitGet listed it earlier on their spot.
What are people using? Like, what are people using to Ghiblify their pictures? It's on ChatGPT. Like,
Yeah, from what I understand, it's on. Chat GPT, but the paid version. But then I saw some people doing it for free. As in, if you ask somebody that has the paid version, can you do? Also, I tried it with Grok
Yeah.
from the premium Twitter premium features, and just
Look,
yeah, in a way, yeah. I can show you screenshots, but just say edit this image Ghibli style.
you should create your disc. You should Ghiblify your Discord profile picture.
Yeah, I did.
Did
I
you?
did. Yeah, of course, man.
Oh, send it.
I
Send it
wanted
to
to
me
see.
in the chat.
I wanted. Let me. I don't. Let me just. I wanted to see if Grok Plus already has like the Ghibli stuff. Let me search for it. So I told.
Yeah, some Chat GPT 4.5. Oh, you
I
DM
didn't
me?
save it. Yeah, because if I log in from the phone, then
That's quite good. The left one is better.
I'll put it in the chat here now. I can copy paste.
That's quite sick.
Yeah, the left one is
Yeah.
pretty decent. So Grok adapted quickly, it seems. So that's good. To answer your question, Mr. STRMA, watch Aztecs is. He posted last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, about journaling and all kinds of mistakes you can do in trading. Uh, I think in education there is from Rigo and maybe from Dal. I will have one in the future, which is more, let's say, what I do, but I need to finish other things first. I think Rigo has. He has risk management execution. No, not Rigo. Somebody has something with journaling somewhere. So Hyperliquid added support for this network. So
Yeah, Pike just tweeted the Ethereum Foundation moved 100,000 ETH to Hyperliquid. I think that whole situation is fucked up, to be honest.
the yesterday's situation.
Yeah,
Which one? Man.
the Jelly, Hyperliquid, Binance, all of that.
Yeah, it was actually crazy. Do you think that Binance was behind it or OKX?
No, I don't think they were the ones behind
Yeah,
it. Otherwise, they would have definitely. If they were, they would have definitely killed Hyperliquid and Jeff yesterday. They would have been so much quicker with. They wouldn't have even bothered listing it like that quick. I think they would have just ran it up from secondary accounts, on-chain accounts, buying millions and millions of it. It would have only cost them about 10, 20 million to liquidate the
yeah.
Hyperliquid vault, and they are rich enough to do that. I mean, Bybit lost $1.5 billion, so they didn't even care. So, I mean, they obviously care, but like Ben on the call did not really care that much. Like, seemed pretty decent. So, yeah,
So I don't know. For me, it was fun yesterday. Uh, I didn't understand, like in that fraction of the second when they posted, when all of the on-chain people started posting. I didn't understand the implication in the mechanism because I don't trade on Hyperliquid, so I am not really. Uh, I know you made a post about it,
hmm
but when it's a news trade, you have a split decision. Like you need to enter as fast as possible. You enter as fast as possible. You put some stop loss, and then you see what happens. And I started taking profit much too early. I mean, early meaning I don't know, close to 20% move because I
Yeah.
didn't understand what is happening exactly. Like, okay, I'm good with the 20% move. I took out a bigger part of my position, and then I took out again, and I just left like a small position for to see how long can it go,
Mm.
and then it went like 200% after.
Yeah.
But if I would have understood the mechanism in the first minute, let's call it, because it never even reached or retested my initial entry or nobody's entry in the
Mm.
first 30 seconds or 1 minute. I would have just started trailing the stop loss and held it until that trail stop loss gets hit.
Mm.
Because I was starting to read about it, and then I understood, oh my god, there is a flaw in how the exchange itself limits position sizing and stuff like that. So that shouldn't have happened, correct?
Yeah, I mean the same. Like remember when the guy was exploiting them on ETH BTC with the $50 million position size on 50x,
Yeah,
and then you're thinking after that event that they would have fixed it, and then all of a sudden you
exactly.
check their vault and they're short $6 million worth of jelly. And it's just like ugh, awful. And like I don't get why people are calling. They're focusing on Binance and OKX more than they're focusing on hyperliquids inaptitude to stop this from happening. It shouldn't have happened in the first place. Like, why? How are you so vulnerable to getting exploited like that when you're
Yeah,
meant
it
to?
shouldn't it
When you're
shouldn't
trying to
happen.
be the number one exchange, like, come on, you need to have higher standards than this in the industry. Anyway,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah. I mean,
you talk
and
about funding rates for you
yeah, let's talk about funding rates. I'm looking if my limits will be hit, but for now it looks like no.
on Ronaldo
Uh,
coin.
yes, on Ronaldo coin I wanted. I mean, I didn't get front ran, but missed it by under 1%. Uh, in today's live with the team stream.
Oh yeah.
So I left the limit over, and I wanted to mark it in, but Bitcoin was I was sure it will go lower than like take out the low, take out 85, 8, whatever this, and go lower from yesterday's night. And then we'll talk a bit about cumulative volume data and why I was saying around here that this might be it in the team stream.
Mm.
But about funding rates, so first of all, we'll just take Bybit because most of us were trading on Bybit. Binance is the same. All of the centralized exchanges are the same. The differences are just like how they change the maximum leverage and funding rate resets, like the cycles where they calculate funding rate can be different. I remember on FTX sometimes it was 2 hours, when on Binance it was 8 hours, stuff like that. It depends. But overall, if you have any questions about like how do exchange work or what, Bybit and Binance and all of the exchanges have great even now with AI and stuff like that, you can ask questions and they lead you to their blogs where you have like the standard things about look derivatives trading mechanisms and risk management and perpetual contracts, and just they just explain how everything works in the exchange so you can understand how it will affect you or not. uh, so first of all, the funding rate is calculated by knowing the interest rate and the average premium index. The main takeaway you need to have from this stream is that if a coin has positive or negative funding rate, it doesn't mean that if it's highly negative funding rate, there are more shorts than longs. Okay, there is always a short for one long. It cannot. There's always one to one. If somebody needs to buy for me to be able to sell, to fill that ask order. So the funding rate just shows the difference between the spot calculated, known as the average premium index, and the perp calculated. That's why you have also average premium index here. Like how is the index price calculated and stuff like that on the funding rate, Bybit, whatever, blog or how you want to call this. Now, whenever you see these highly negative funding rates, like for example, where is safe? Let's see if it's safe is still minus 2% on Binance.
Oh,
Whenever
yeah,
you see
yeah,
this,
kind of negative.
yeah, this is the only one for today that was extremely negative. On Bybit also, when you see this, it just means that the spot price is way higher than the perp price. So the exchanges need to calculate, or to, let's say, to force you, or to force you who is trading perps, to force perp traders to fill in that gap and to go not really one to one with the spot price, but there shouldn't be a big differences between the prices. So basically, you need to reach the equilibrium somehow. So you are forced to pay higher funding rate, or you're forced to get paid funding rate based on how are you positioned. That is why you hear that longs are paying short or shorts are paying longs. Basically, they're just trying to maintain the balance between the two. Please correct me, JD, if I say everything like
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the if the terms aren't correct, as I'm trying to uh, to talk in English as best as possible
yeah.
with this kind of let's call it more the terms that are more found in this kind of formulas and stuff like that.
Oi.
So
Oh, broccoli
uh,
just got listed. Just ripped 40%.
Mubarak,
Oh my
wow
gosh.
man, Mubarak also.
Oh, crazy. How can it rip that much? It's still going.
Mubarak also, man.
Yeah. Jeez.
And TUT.
Wait, it's a different. Yeah, no. Yeah. I would have shorted Rocket. Oh, that was insanely fast.
I'm just looking if we have if we have some kind of shorting opportunity here, but no. Mubarak spiked on the 1 minute, but it was like, did it reach a new high? No, it didn't. Yeah,
Oh,
no, no trade. No trade for me on these for now. So the thing is that if you see highly negative coins, how does it influence you? Well, if you're short, that means that that 2%, let's call it the 2% that we saw on safe, on every 8-hour funding time interval or however it is, you can see it there. Some are 8 hours, some are 2 hours, others are 4 hours, and so on. You will need to pay that 2% based on, this is very important, the position size. So everything is calculated based on your position size, or if you're long and there is negative funding rate, you will get paid that 2%. So basically the shorts that are short with negative funding will pay whatever the funding rate is to the longs when there is the timer resetting. Now I was searching here if it writes exactly uh, the interval where they pay, because there is in milliseconds, uh, it's not a delay, but for example, if you close your trade 1 minute before the funding rate resets, you will not get paid, or you will not pay the funding. But if you close it like a few milliseconds, there is some kind of a delay where you will still need to pay funding if you're short, even if you close it before, let's say, 8 o'clock. So there is, but I didn't find exactly here where is the interval in milliseconds where they will just take the funding anyways from your position, even if you think you close it right before, let's call it 8 o'clock or whatever the. So you will see this. I will post this in the chat. You will see this correct, Anna Cecilia. If the funding rate is negative, the shorts will pay the longs, and these are the two tutorials from Bybit. You will have the same on Binance or whatever exchange you are trading at. This is what you need to know. So basically, when the funding rate is resetting, you will pay or get paid based on very important position size. Because people say, okay, but uh, how does that affect me? Well, it doesn't affect you if it's like minus zero, whatever. Let's say here, minus 0.006 or even minus 0.1 on Bitcoin now. Let's call it estimated funding rate here. Whatever, it doesn't affect you that much. But when it's negative minus, let's negative half a percent, and you want to swing that short, let's call it, you want to swing short on wall USDT, and you pay at every 2 hours minus half a percent. In 4 hours, you lose 1% if you're short, and so on. So during the day, it can add up, and you need to factor this based on whatever your time perspective of that trade is. So if you want to swing for the next 2 days, then funding can influence you, because imagine getting stopped out. Let's say you have a 4% stop loss and you went through 2 rounds of funding. You paid maybe 2% in funding, and then you got the 4% loss. Your position, your risk management or your position sizing overall should take in account the fact that you will pay that high funding. So you should lower your position size, because maybe if you get a funding route and a stop loss, you will not lose 4%, you lose 6, because the total P&L, or in reverse, maybe the funding is very negative and you're long and you're in profit. Maybe you're in profit 4% and you get paid around the funding of 2%, you're in profit 6%. And then you can say, okay, what can I do? I can move my stop loss at entry, and in worst case scenario, I still won that 2% that I got collected funding. And you can see this in your mobile app, wherever, or the web app. You can see it on the PNL. You will see plus whatever dollar nominal value that percentage is, and you will see it written as funding payment, or funding, or whatever is written there. Oh man, Mubarak just, yeah, that was the short, man. Mubarak just dumped like
Yeah,
a lot.
roughly still holding up a lot. Like you got like a
Mubarak just dumped like 40% almost.
Jesus Christ
And all of this insanity with the Binance listings and people
insider trading.
insider trading front running it. Like, look how it started from yesterday, pure uptrend on. Well, it was a range, but at least on the 15-minute had good push up. And now this candle just wicked everybody, both shorts and longs. It's actually crazy. And the volume is like 80 million now on Bybit, but on the others it's crazy. So be mindful of you will not really see extreme positive funding like plus 2%. Sometimes you will see it on exchanges. Uh, what rates?
Still see a
These
rate.
ones?
No,
What rate?
your image is like
Ah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, it's fine.
I wasn't. Yeah, it's fine. It's not my rates, man. It's like it's Bybit rates. I'm not logged in. So, uh, no, 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 no. I was just looking at on the mobile phone. Uh, yeah, that's the basics of it. Just take in account, you will really see like for today. This is only Binance, but you will really see like today we have nothing. Everything when you see 001, it's neutral. This is how it's supposed to be. So normally perp price and spot prices, calculated index premium, whatever is the same or close to it. Uh, Lately you see a lot of negative funding coins. On Binance is -2% safe. In the last weeks we had like -1%. Everything above -1% is extreme negative. Medium negative is like -0.5 or 0.5, so half a percent. If you're scalping, it doesn't matter because ideally you will get out of the position before the funding resets. So you will not pay that funding either way. You will get out minutes before funding resets or whatever. Because if you're scalping lower time frames, probably the trade already happened, or your TP happened, or whatever. Hello, Dev. So from my side, what I can say, what influences you is be mindful of if you're short on highly negative funding coins, you will need to pay that funding based on very important position size. Okay, because if you have like a hundred, I don't know, not 100x because on altcoins you cannot, but because you're limited. But let's say you have a 20x and you put all your account, and then you end up at break even, but you look at the account and you paid like 2% on you lost 2% because you paid it on negative funding because you were short, even if your trade got stopped break even or whatever. So be careful of that. It's based on total position size that you have active. Uh, and what you can use it for is spotting these kind of manipulations, where I will just show you on Orion Terminal because it's known, orionterminal.com. I will post it in the chat. This shows only Binance. So take in account the fact that it shows only Binance. And then you have coinalize.net, which shows more exchanges. I think they show for sure Bybit funding rate average. Here you can just Toshi is +2%, but I don't know on which exchange.
Use the Velo screener. It's way nicer than Coinalyze for filtering by like funding.
Which one?
Velo on Velo, like you can.
Velo. Yeah, I don't have an account, so
Oh,
unfortunately on Velo you have everything. On Coinalyze, I mean, you don't even need an account exactly. It's free. Uh, but here you can see Bybit and Binance and some other exchanges. Sometimes they have Gate.io and other ones. More interesting is where you have volume like SIF, for example, whole day uptrend, a lot of open interest compared to the others, a lot of volume, 500 million for an altcoin in 24 hours with negative funding. Something's happening there. Basically, something is running up the spot price aggressively, trying to manipulate it. Uh, JD can talk because my half an hour is finished. JD, if you guys are interested, can explain how are people manipulating, or not people, but like entities manipulating these kind of coins. Why would somebody do that? Because there is a win, there is a bigger win situation for people that know that this is happening. Or it can just be the fact that uh, something is happening, like there is some news or something, and everybody's starting buying spot aggressively, and prices cannot keep up or stuff like that. So, but most of the times on these altcoins, there is some kind of underlying uh, manipulation going around. As in, either uh, people that have inside information and know that in the next, I don't know, 24, 48 hours, some news will leak out and they just manipulating it, or somebody that know that somebody that actually wants to influence the coin based on whatever they want. Uh, they need to offload a lot of inventory. So basically, they have a lot of let's say, I don't know, safe coin, and they cannot offload it easily or at a good pricing if they don't generate the volume needed and the interest needed. So people apes are starting to short or long or whatever, and then they start more easier. It's more easier to get rid of that inventory on a 500 million coin that it is on a 21 million volume coin. So basically, there is the need to create an exit liquidity in some shape or form. So that's all from me. If you want JD to take over.
Yeah, I mean, I can expand on that with the way that they make money. It's quite complicated to get your head around it. There's like multiple different ways that they can make money from like scamming these coins up. Like these entities are usually like either market makers that have deals with the coin itself, the project, because how market makers work is that they get sent a supply of those of the coin to them to have as inventory to like create the bid ask spread and to market make the coin. But so market makers shouldn't affect price directly, they're just there to provide liquidity for traders. But they do these shady underhand deals where they get sent like 5 or 10%, 20% of the supply of the coin, and they get told to push the price artificially up. So how they do that is they buy a shit ton of the coin on spot, and therefore that there's like a huge spot premium compared to perps. Um, and then they create a huge like spread between perps and spot, where spot's trading at a premium, so therefore funding rate gets negative. And what this causes is because there's lot of spot supply cornered, um, they basically can dictate price going up or down by selling a bit of the spot and causing price to crash. And they can hedge on perps, or people see the huge spread blowout. They see that someone's trying to scam the coin up. They'll be piled in longs on leverage, and so when they decide to offload a bit of spot because they see that traders are trying to jump on the wave, trying to long it, they can push the perp price down even further while selling a small part of their spot inventory, causing the spread to blow out even more. Funding gets even more negative. They make money because the price got driven up, and then their spot supply that they cornered ages ago. Like these don't happen on the same day. They've cornered their supply over weeks, months, buying spot of the coin, and then they sell it as soon as it starts scamming up. Like yeah, like where Diet is drawing out. Like these are the areas where they would have bought the coin and just been waiting until they've bought enough of it. You see the random volume spikes when there's none. Um, and then so they make money from that, the spot supply, the underlying like asset price going up. They make money from themselves having leveraged long positions, and earning on the funding rates, from when the spread gets blown out, because they can open a leverage long position at the lows when they have all the spot supply. So when the funding rate gets really blown up, because they're selling also the spot inventory at the same time, to cause the perp price to go even lower, because people have leveraged in longs, creating a bigger spread. They make money off the funding. So they make just a huge amount of money from like earning on funding, selling the cornered spot supply, and also earning money from the leverage longs being in position in profit, and as well as when they've done scamming the coin up, cheating all the spot supply, they can just go short on the coin, close the spread, and make money from shorting the coin on its way down. So it's like a really money like it's a money machine basically. They make money in all types of ways from doing this to a coin. It's obviously highly illegal. It won't be allowed in your TradFi market. It's highly regulated, but obviously in crypto, it's basically an illegal playground where anything can go. Um, where anything goes, so they're allowed to get away with things like that. That's why there was the whole controversy about DWF and people were calling them out for doing it and saying that they're scammers, but yeah, they can't really get prosecuted for it unless there's hard evidence of them doing it, and there's not a big enough issue for the well, especially now that crime is legal. SEC won't bother, but like auction was what, like a 300 mil cap coin, 500 mil cap coin. Like it's not really that big of a controversy. They would have made maybe like 20, 30 million of it, 40 million of it. It's not that big of a deal. It's only when billions of dollars of people get get hurt in it, like something like Luna, when like everyone's mom and dad had money in Anchor and Luna, it'll become an issue.
Can you see this in full screen?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay. So, as JD said, you can spot, and there are people that are doing this through, of course, because you need to scan all of the coins, like, I don't know, 300 pairs or more, uh, and see where there is a spike in volume in their, I don't know, 24-hour, or it just looks like this. It's something that's extremely irregular. This is on the 1 hour. Something that's extremely irregular. Usually, it's a pump. If you zoom in, it's a pump that gets retraced or forms a base. Uh, you will probably not understand what this is when you see it in real time, because you said, "Ah, okay, the move already happened. Who knows? Maybe there was some news or something." Looking forward, or let's say looking backward, you will continue to see established baseline of a moment of a volume. These are just normal volume candles. You will see a baseline established, which the baseline is way higher compared to what happened until then. Like for example, look at this baseline here from. So you had the spike on 13th, 14th of February, whatever, and then you start forming a baseline from 25th. Sorry, from 18th to 27. So that's more than a week where you have increased continuous volume, way higher increased continuous than something that was dead before. So in January, nothing, just dead overall. That's why you see a lot of people talk about spikes in volume, volume analysis, and stuff like that. So basically, something is happening here where people are continuously buying. You can zoom in and you can see another uptrend held. It looks like a pure TWAP, or even on the 1 hour, we are on the 1 hour. It looks like a pure TWAP, and then it goes down. Volume goes down, and then the real move happens. So these are the two moments where, let's say, entity, how I want to call it, probably are starting accumulating, or people that know that uh, something will happen in the future, like they have information. The entity probably made some kind of OTC deal, as JD said, or they have inventory to spare, and then the real move starts, which can go insane. We've seen even so it's like a 400% move from the first big volume spike. That volume spike isn't beaten until the real move starts, and then like all of the spikes are as big as the first one. 400% move in the course of 1 month. So we're looking at a 30-day volume analysis, and then you see where when they started distributing, everything is highly spiked, red, just selling, and then goes 72%, and now the coin is dead, uh, as in no more volatility. They already made or executed whatever their plan was in that moment. Now imagine if you knew that this will happen because you're the one that creates it, and you also know that it will be such a differences in the spread that you will get paid 2% every 4 hours while pushing it up 300%. So you're looking at 13 days of getting, okay, maybe funding wasn't as aggressive at 2% for the whole 13 days, but at least you weren't paying funding, you were getting paid something, let's say. And then you actually, as JD said, you can go short because you know that you will sell all of the spot inventory, which will create that collapse because of all of the people that are leverage long or still have their position opened, which gets liquidated. So, and this you will see, how does this help us? Well, when you see people playing negative funding coins, they are looking for this. Basically, we are looking to tag along for the ride. We don't know when the ride will finish because nobody will say, TA says that. No, man, there is no TA in this. The only TA in this is how can you get a decent entry on. It's clear that this is an H1 trend. It's clearly like you can go in the H1 trend, have a wider stop loss, use some risk management, and then just tag along with the ride, scalp it, uh, move stops at entry, maybe buy some spot and have stops at entry. You want to tag along. When it starts getting a bit insane and you know that it's closing to a finish, is when this kind of volatility happens. Usually, the blow off candle looks like how Bitcoin was blowing off in 2016, 2017. Like they are massive candles. You are having 40-50% days. This was in 18 hours. Followed by an aggressive move down. So usually this, when you see something like this, like the Burj Khalifa type of pattern or whatever, uh, things will get a little bit crazy and it's over. Ideally, you catch as much as possible or as early as possible or scalp it in these legs here, in these moments. Somewhere around here, you have basically like three impulse rally, or however you want to call it, base impulse, some kind of base impulse, and then the final blow off top. This pattern, you see it since forever, in some degree, shape or form. What? So basically, we are trying to tag along for a ride, maybe intraday, maybe multi-day. What I can say is that whenever you see this happening, it's over. So basically, your chances of getting something out of it are pretty much very low because the distribution phase might have started and you don't know when the whole trigger will be pulled. This, when the parabola is still held, this means that there might be still some things left. Usually you have a couple of or three, four H1 trend retests that held. Usually during a day, so you can see it more easily in these two parts before the aggressive volatility hits, and you can scalp it or do whatever.
API 3 was a really good example as well.
API 3, yeah, look at it. It happened in the same time almost, right? Uh,
Yeah, both at the same. Been told that was the same market maker
okay,
that scammed both of them up.
let's look at API 3 then, so you guys can see more examples of. And we know this coin because we remember in 2022 we were trading API 3 and
Chainlink, TRB, the Oracle
yeah,
trade.
TRB, because they were the same in the Oracle basket, and whenever there was any kind of link news or oracles, you had the same ones. API 3 was the most volatile of the API 3 and TRB, if I remember correctly. But I know that, and there was the other one, man, where it was actually not Badger.
API
Oh,
3, TRB, banned. It's a
Band,
pandemic.
man, Band.
I'd always post it's a pandemic meme of like SpongeBob with all the money.
Yeah, Band was the best because it semi respected some kind of TA. It wasn't. It was wiki, but not as aggressive. And also, let's see if we can. If we can look at. Oh, what is happening here? Hello. Something happened here. let's see. The volume, the base volume isn't as aggressive as it was on auction, but then it truly started. Here a little volume spike, but let's say this can be something like somebody getting taken out. But here it just goes insane. How many H1 tests you had? You have one base here, have multiple H1 tests, another base here, and this was the last. So it couldn't sustain as much as auction. Only 6 days, but again, the moves are very aggressive. This was it's like 68% in like half a day. So uh, now normally, actually, if I look at it like this, and we are under the range, isn't this doesn't this look like a good short soon if we get a spike? Because it just looks like it's a continuous downtrend after losing the range low, and this
Yeah,
looks like very big distribution. I mean, this is
I'm
like
pretty sure.
pretty sure
Um,
that it's over.
yeah, they've sold everything, but it just takes so long for the price to actually revert. But like so far, people haven't really tried piling on shorts. I think it's just gonna slowly TWAP die, and then it's just gonna spike up like 10% in a 1 minute candle, put throw out all the shorts, and then die again. You know where they do the slow bleed into
Yeah.
random impulse and then die, or do that pattern
So
probably.
yeah, what very similar to what it happened here, but this was on the long. See, some people got probably liquidated here. They took them out and then continued down. So you'll probably, as JD said, you'll see maybe something like this, just a 1 hour candle or 50-minute candle, similar to this but inverted, so an inverted hammer. Which ideally, what you can do now is set some alerts here around 1.0, 1.17, 1.18. Let's mark the range low. Let's mark the range high. This was the deviation to the range high. We don't have a deviation to the range low, so then you have two kinds of, let's say, trading ideas going on this. Let's say that we agree to the fact that it already played out and they already sold and they're not interested in pushing anymore. You could look at any kind of spike into the H1 trend or H4 trend, like spike up and then again slow bleed will continue probably into here or even lower. It will take time, but or or if you see some kind of aggressive negative funding coming back, maybe this is just a deviation, and then you have at least the range play move up here. Basically, the inverted part of this. This was a buy side external liquidity grab deviation, however you want to call it. This is on the sell side. I tend to believe that losing this range low in this kind of controlled fashion, where is just what is it's just controlled selling, and usually is more indicative of it being over. So probably this trend will continue. It's just a matter of okay, where would I short to be safe? Like you cannot short here and put stop loss here 8%, and maybe you get taken out like this. You would have some kind of spike, or just slowly build a position with like very small margin. Have a wider stop loss, keep the risk, because basically you're betting on a 20% down move to the origin of impulse, or maybe even more, but who knows. So even with an 8% stop loss and you're betting on a 20% move, you still have like a 3 hour trade almost. Let's call it like that. In situations like this, when you see the controlled selling off and you have a clear range, what I would suggest is to mark your look at where is the point of control of the old range. Oh man, where is it here? I don't know if I have it on CoinAlyze. I should have it. If you guys here, so fixed range volume profile 1246. Yeah, it's like a 10% from here, 12%. It's over. It's over what I would like to see as a swing stop loss. But ideally, have stop loss somewhere above the point of control, um, or at least keep the H1 trend. So if it goes up into 1.19, you have stop loss above the point of control of the old range. If it's going to bounce and reject, it would reject either from the value area low, which is here at 1.17, or the point of control. So in the idea that this is over with. So this is playing the, how can I call it? Playing the finished part, the shorting part of something like this when it loses the range low. Um, Another interesting thing to see. So what do we have here? We have open interest, CVD spot and futures, liquidations, and funding rate average close. When you see aggregated, it means that it takes off from all of the exchanges. So it's not only Binance. This should be aggregated. I think open interest is only on Binance shown. As you see, as we're going, is it correct on
You
CoinAlyze?
can
I don't know.
click the yeah the next button long and it will tell you where it's pulling it from. No, I haven't used Coinalize in ages, but wait, aggregate open. Yeah, press the setting, the cogwheel button. Yeah, it tells you where it's
Yeah,
from.
yeah, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever you see anywhere you see aggregated, it means that it pulls information from not only one exchange or whatever data points, let's call them data points, and also on, I don't know on how is it on default on Velo data, but uh, on Coinalize, what you see here, so these values are in kind. So in kind as in here it's stablecoin margined, but when you see when you see like the liquidations and stuff like that, it's based on normally it can be in kind or it can be stablecoin margined. I select stablecoin margined contracts. So just remember that. Uh, as you see here, negative funding, this is all of the aggregated funding rates, which is getting pulled from only this one. So Binance, Bybit, Kraken, and OKX. When you see that on the 1 hour, the funding is getting more early to neutral, but the price is still going up, it's a sign that distribution most likely will happen soon, or sooner rather than later, because they are not manipulating the spread between the spot and the perps anymore. It's still negative, but it's like going from minus 2.5 to minus 0.2. So whenever you see the descending part of very negative going into neutral or going closer to neutral, it means that the easy, let's call it the easy trade, starting to the easy trading window opportunity is starting to diminish. We are talking about these on altcoins because these are the ones that are manipulated. You rarely see this, or you never see this in Bitcoin. So aggressive. Not anymore, at least, unless you have some kind of news or with the Trump election or some kind with the ETF news or stuff like that. You will see more aggressive things like this. Another interesting part is when you see the CVD spot is green. So funding is going closer to neutral, and the spot CVD, which is the cumulative volume data on spot, is getting diverted extremely aggressive compared to the white one, which is perps. Okay, so there is more aggressive market selling from spot compared to perps. So aggressive that the divergence, or let's call it the angle of this divergence, is it's pretty unique. You rarely see this. More often than not, they just go together or they go sideways together or stuff like this. Uh, Here, for example, you could see that the spot buying is still aggressive. It's still leading overall. until the divergence in the other way happens. So there are some. This is on the 1 hour. It's a little bit. You can see it like this on the 1 hour, but you cannot really execute based on that on the 1 hour. That's why you will see us all use 5 minutes or less, usually 5 minutes, because okay, on the 1 hour we're looking back, we can see it, but I need some kind of execution, like where it actually started. On the 5 minute, you can see basically around here. So if the divergence started more aggressive here, you can put like an not this one, the other one, uh, a horizontal line, not horizontal, sorry, a vertical Alt V here. Let's close this. Let's close the range profile. And basically, this is your range. Here you see that it started diverging with the CVD spot, more aggressive selling. And basically, what can you do here? Well, you're looking at, okay, if this is the range and it goes back into the range, I can short it, or at least if I'm in a position, I can take profit or close it. Basically, playing the range TA when the other factors are just showing that there is some kind of possibility. It's way harder to anticipate things like this than to look at it back like in history. It's way harder to execute and anticipate things like this uh, in real time. That's why I mean derivatives data, because this also can be very skewed. Uh, but what can you do here? Well, you can execute a range play back into the range, and that means that you're opening up to this. From range high, this is the deviation, you go to range low. All of this, what we're talking about, is used for selecting the assets or coins, you have to call it, the coins that you trade, or knowing when to, for example, okay, it's aggressively negative funding. I can collect some funding. Let's see if I can find some kind of intraday entry somewhere where I have a logical stop loss, and maybe I can tag along for this crazy manipulated ride. Uh, I personally do not use anything like this to predict. Okay, so I'm not predicting if I see this deviation. I'm not predicting, okay, here the angle or the deviation is so aggressive that I'm starting to short here and I don't have any kind of short trigger on like a TA part of situation. I don't predict. So you rarely see me use any kind of predictability kind of tools. Uh, so I just use it to react. Okay, so basically or as warning signs. Warning sign, -2% negative funding. There is some kind of manipulation in the past. You saw the volume spikes. What is the warning for me? Man, at least don't short it. Why? Because until the negative funding is so aggressive, you risk being caught in the manipulation itself, or you risk giving back profits, because even if you're in profit, you probably will get hit by a funding round, at least one, if you want to swing it. So sure, scalp it aggressively on low time frames, because usually there is volatility if you want to do it, and you will not need to pay the funding. But these are the two ways I personally use it. I try not to predict, because you don't know how high. Like API didn't go as high. Auction went for 2 weeks, 400%. So you don't know. But at least you know to stay safe and to not get impulsive trading these kind of manipulated coins. That's the main idea. If you want to add anything on that, JD.
Yeah, I mean, but like, I'm not really. I'm same as you. Like, trying to short. It's way easier to catch the long on the way up than trying to short the top, because you have to be so accurate and careful, and the candles can be ridiculous sometimes. Like you'd seen the candles from like 2022, the Umfi candles, even the IP short squeeze that we saw where it pulled like a 50% 1 minute candle. Like
Yeah,
you
let's
can
look at
blow
it.
up an account so easily. I've known so many, like some of the best traders that I've known that have tried to stand in the way of shorting these scam coins and get their whole account getting blown up because they're trading on cross, and then they like take a short and they think like, yeah, there's no way that this pulls 160% candle, and it does, and then they've lost millions from it. So like I would like
Look
only
at this.
something like when yeah, like that candle was ridiculous.
And the
Uh,
issue is, as you said, even even people that know what they're doing are getting tagged out because
yeah,
yeah, they're
yeah,
on
go on.
cross. They're on cross, and very important. You even if you have a stop loss, you think that it will be executed when sometimes it's not,
Yeah, it's
or you
not
get
like
it's not. Man, I mean, you had probably experiences. I had experiences like that in the past. So take in
the
account
exchange
that.
can literally like you can get wicked out so easily. Like I've tried to short them and like put my stop loss like 5-10% away, and then it's scammed like 50%, and then my average exit on it was 33% up. Like you putting your stop losses there doesn't mean that the stop loss will get. You need it like if you're trading with a decent amount of size, like you can easily get wicked so hard. You'd have to set like 50 different stop losses, and doing that quick enough when you're trying to catch a 1 minute entry, because these coins also top out with on like the 1 minute chart, and then like you don't really get re-entries at the top again, and they top out very quick. Like within minutes that you're right and shorting it, within like 15-20 minutes you will know it's the top or not, or if it's going to grind back up. Like they always have like a very fireworksy kind of blow off top like ending for it. um yeah, like just like even if you have as much experience as you think you have with trading it, or even if you're going to short it, do it on a sub account where you've got like a limited amount of margin that you're happy losing in case it does wick you out. Make sure to have your stops set immediately as soon as you enter. Yeah.
And even if you do everything correct, as JD said, and your stop loss is getting executed, the slippage on it can be maybe you lose. If you're lucky, you just lose like another 1 hour. If you're lucky, like you put your stop loss at 5% and it's triggered at 10%, and basically you're down 2 hours instead of 1 hour on that day. But it is what it is. If you're unlucky, it will get triggered here at the top.
Yeah.
And also, this is the reason why I don't trade cross, especially in altcoins, because at least if I use isolated margin, I know that it will get liquidated. I haven't in the last years because I don't short these kinds of stuff, but at least I know how much I'm losing maximum. You know, uh, I have talked and tried to help people that in a short squeeze, like in a 1 minute candle, they lost their whole account because the stop loss didn't trigger. And basically, if you go to zero, you will just get whole account liquidated because they were on cross margin, they had a wider stop, everything got so squeezed that the stop didn't execute and went on. Okay, you could argue that well they weren't sized correctly, but how can you like know or risk where will the exchange execute my like how much slippage will I get in something that does a 60% wick, and this is on Binance. So we're not talking about I don't know low grade, low liquidity exchanges. This happened on Binance. 60% weak. You cannot be ready for that. I mean, you will be ready for that based on, as JD said, you have a sub account. You know that you put I don't know, let's put $100 in that sub account, and whatever happens, you just lost the $100, or you just uh, Lou TUT had news with Binance
Yeah.
listing perps right now. I mean, right now when we started. So let's see if we have anything there. Or IP, I have nothing really under the H1 trend. If you want to trade IP, somebody asked about IP. Let's look at on the 4 hours. So if you're looking at it as a mega, let's call it range. Where is your internal liquidity? This is the range we're talking about. Let's say deviation to the upside, to the downside, and then you have some kind of trend here holding on the 4 hour. Where is your? I don't use trend lines, but I'm looking at where is my internal liquidity left. So we are in the range. Where is the internal liquidity of the range? The earliest equals here, so basically 5.6 to 5.5. If you want to trade it here, right here, and your idea is that it will not take this low, you'll probably have stop loss around 5.47 and try to play it up into the range low. You can also use a volume profile just to see where POC is really down here. If it would have been around here, I would say, yeah, okay, maybe, but just looking at this big range, it's a little bit risky. Usually in things like this, I am looking for at least take out the liquidity, the earliest internal liquidity, meaning something like this. Ideally, you're looking for as close as possible to the range low. On the liquidity targets, we are talking about sell side liquidity here, or closer to the mid range. If you're looking at the mid range, and enter on some kind of a liquidity run. That's easier. On coins like IP and altcoins, sometimes it doesn't happen, but yeah, Lou. So they listed the Mubarak, TUT, and one of the broccolis. So let's look at the TUT. Oh man, it is not even finished yet on the 5 minute.
Yeah,
Of,
broccoli is still
of
going up.
okay, so only Mubarak got hit. Man, this is crazy. 200% candle. Usually, so funding is going more and more negative. Open interest, this is on the 5 minute. It's still up. Usually, and I know you play these on the 1 minute when you have a very aggressive open interest flush, and then you see this. So, for example, something like this, more aggressive, or if you see like a short squeeze, another short squeeze like this goes spiked up, and then the open interest goes down after. But for now, for example, funding. Let's look at it like this. You had news. Like, what are your chances realistically? This is on the 1 minute to enter around here after like a 60% move. Sorry, after 200% move. Like, where is your stop loss here? Under the low. It's a 30% stop loss, and we're talking about on the 1 minute. It's just insanely to trade when everything happened already. The easy trade was to enter on the news and have some kind of risk management in place. But at least what we can look at is, should I short here? It's up to 100%. For me now, currently, without a break of structure and the confirmation of the open interest, at least on the 1 minute, to go down, you have nothing to signify that shorting is the right move here. It will be a blind short. Why? Funding is going more and more negative, so the difference between spot and perps is in favor of spot. Open interest is still going up. Price is still grinding up on the 1 minute. Moving on the 5 minute, you can clearly see the same things. Yes, volume is going down, but you don't have any kind of break of structure or something to confirm some kind of technical based entry. Or maybe you want to gamble and just short here and put your stop loss here at 11% above the wick and use very low position sizes. But personally, I wouldn't do that. Uh, I don't know. Yeah, GD says 9 times out of 10, this is news. When you see something like this, is usually a Binance listing or Upbit listing, Upbit Korea listings. They happen during Asia session or early in the morning for for Europe. Usually after daily close. So when you see this happening at these hours, probably some kind of Binance listing or some kind of news hit. And all of these are just people getting squeezed because the news traders and the auto buying bots are going insane. Anything you want to add to this, JD?
Um, I mean, again, speed is the most important factor that comes into play for trades like this. If you weren't in the first minute or 2 minutes, I suppose for things like this where it's listings, where it's extremely competitive, obviously when it's something more like high cap or more significant, like the Trump tweet about the reserve or like ETF filings or whatever, where you have more time to enter. I mean, for this to be long on it, first 2 minutes, first minute. I mean, ideally the first 5-10 seconds. To be honest, personally, I don't enter it after if I'm not within the first 20 seconds of it.
Yeah,
And then usually you just run like a 2-3% hard stop loss and 1-2% hard stop loss, and then TP aggressively on the way up if you got a subpart entry. And in terms of shorting it, I don't really try fading it anymore as much as I used to back in the day because I think market's gotten much more efficient. TA doesn't. It does work to some extent. Like, of course, if there's like a huge resistance level, like 50, 100% away, then yeah, um, it will probably reject there. But for like low cap shit is like this, it's very easy for this to just continue running for the next like 8-10 hours. You short, you have to pay a -3% funding rate. You get bled out slowly by them keeping the spreads uh, blown out, and then it dumps after you've already paid like 6-8% in funding.
yeah. Usually the first 20 seconds is my rule also. Uh, or get if it's a big listing, get in the 1 minute candle somewhere into the 1 minute candle. If you don't, I mean here is like it's up already 60%. Usually in the 1 minute candle, except as those Trump tweets and whatever the XRP news, stuff like that, where you have like minutes to get in position, then it goes for maybe half a day or 6 hours or 3 hours or stuff like that. And you take some profits aggressively if you don't have a good entry. You put your stops at entry and just let it do its thing. More often than not, you will probably get stopped at entry, but sometimes you catch some things like this, or how Jelly was, for example, the other day. Basically, it's for people that aren't experienced, because it took me a long time to get as fast and to have everything in place, to have a terminal that I know how to use or I'm comfortable using it fast, to have my own alert bots, to have subscription to news services and stuff like that. It took a while, and then you have also the execution where in a split second you need to decide, is this news worthwhile me longing it, because we're manually longing. We're not, you don't use bots for auto buying based on tickers. So that's too competitive for me to even try with the bots. So there is some kind of, at least for me, there is some kind of, let's call it decision making in very fast times. Uh, is this news worthy enough for me to put on risk or not? Trump news, it was really worthwhile. XRP news, whatever, ETF news, whatever. Those are like high probability type of stuff if you're even in the fast in the 1 minute mark. These ones, the listings you saw, Mubarak went down aggressively. These just continue. It's basically whatever. This news can spark, for example, one of that distribution phase from whatever they accumulated, or like there might be money. Let's see if you can see. I don't see any manipulation on this. Let's see on the 1 hour. Were there any spikes? Look at this, man. This is crazy. And it's still continuing. So basically, I cannot see anything on the 1 hour, like volume-wise or anything, to just for me to signal that it's something that was predictable. As in somebody accumulated something. So when you see this and you miss the first minute, the first 20 seconds, just ignore it. You will get destroyed more often than not. Trust me, I was getting destroyed in the beginning. Anna Cecilia, the TA on TUT on Bybit would help? No. TechWin 88, do you think Bitcoin is about to nuke? I don't know. Well, I hope so, but nuke is a big word. Define nuke, like 10%. I would like to get filled on my SUI limit and maybe on some Bitcoin is closer to 85 because you have equal lows here. It still held 80, 85, 80. It's actually crazy. I was expecting it to take that low today if after it started selling off like this. But now volatility is down. It's just grinding sideways. So for now, we'll see what Asia will do. Tomorrow it's Friday, so maybe Friday dump. We long some alcohols for the weekend. I don't know. 85 to closer to 85 to 84 if should hold. Big area. Everybody's talking about that area, so you have TA on it from everybody in the group. From 85 it's not a new. When I hear nuke, I mean 85 is 2%. It is nothing. When I hear nuke, I'm thinking about like 10% or 7% or 20%. That's why I was asking.
Do you want to call it a stream?
Yeah.
Anyone have any final questions? Been
If
on
you have
quite
questions
a
or
while.
requests, yeah, just leave them now in chat and let's talk about it.
Oh, I need to cough my guts out after this.
Why?
You're not hearing me like blowing my nose constantly throughout the stream.
No. Now that you say you are a little bit stuffy, like
Yeah.
your voice is. Can we look at
Started
Neil?
yesterday with a sore throat.
Let's look at Neil. Did you invest in Neil or you're
No.
not? Guys, I'm using Coinalyze just for that's because it's at hand, but on things like this, okay, so where is the low? Where is the launch contract launch low here? Where it established some kind of range here. 0.6 is still the range. So on the 1 hour, this should be the deviation. Well, uh, today, yes, I saw people again starting to shill nil. As you see, it had this nice movement up. Even on the 1 hour, you can see it reclaiming 0.6. So for now, at least, 0.6 is the old range, broke down. Looks like a deviation, at least for now. Couldn't take or reclaim the contract lows. So for now, you're still in a range between 0.6 and 0.66. Uh, where do I think that you have the biggest, let's say, or the best risk to reward, is if that 0.66 is getting reclaimed and you have a clear uptrend on the 1 hour that you can sync it with, because that means that you are opening up this range, contract highs on the launch and this range, and maybe more. Who knows? You will see this pattern on a lot of coins that went through the core round, maybe airdrops. Tia had the same stuff like that. The second moment where you know you can add to the position, let's say you get in on the reclaim of 0.66, 0.67, uh, is if, for example, it breaks out of the big range. So this continues, and you have something like this, and it starts putting in value above 85, because that opens up uncharted territory, price discovery, however you want to call it. This is the best risk to reward you can get, usually for spot or stuff like that, because the reclaim of the old range, the first target would be the middle of the range, then the range high, and you will cut it if it starts rolling under back into the old range. So basically, you have range low to range high 26% and an invalidation around 65%. You can get a 4-hour trade with the idea that if you see it hold above the range high and put in multiple days creating value there, you might see extreme price discovery. Who knows? It's just an expansion after all of this. So this is the next big opportunity because it's the same thing but on a larger scale. If you see things, uh, let's say it puts in value like this, and then you see it roll over, and then the range high becomes resistance, and it creates a downtrend, then you just get out. Whenever you see this looking like a deviation similar to this but in reverse, you just get out of the trade. Let's say you have it on spot and you have some kind of manual invalidation. This is how I can play these things more safely because realistically here when you buy, like you're just blindly buying. This can go down like the other coins, VC coins, into infinity, minus 90%. So I hope this helped. I hope this helps, Mr. Soggs. In newly listed coins, you're better off buying reclaims of lost ranges than to blindly buying based on whatever factors, being it technological factors, marketing factors, whatever fundamental factors. And I will tell you why this
Where'd
wasn't
you
the
read that
case in the
question from?
past. In general chat here, Sogs,
General.
Mr. Sogs. I mean our chat
Oh,
here.
oh, okay, the other chat.
Yeah, see, he has like
Yeah,
that TradingView dinosaur as a profile picture.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a nice dinosaur. So yeah, hope this helps. Yeah, I want to say that fundamentally, it's not that it doesn't matter anymore. It's just that we have so many coins, and the attention and interest shifts so fast that even what has logic or what had logic in 2021, 2020, and so on, rotations are way too fast. So me personally, I'm not like buying blindly something that is in a downtrend because their tech is good or they have something new or you think the project is good, especially on chain, because there are so many coins, there are too many coins, and we have limited attention span, we have limited money coming into the space. Uh, I'm not saying to not buy something that's extremely discounted, but again, we are talking about coins that are just launched. You don't have history to back any kind of TA. You have like recent history. So you're just trying to play the momentum on it. Any other questions, guys?
Yeah. What do you think about CRV CVX?
I haven't even followed it anymore. I know that Alice had a great CRV trade. A
Bro,
CVX,
Ellie's
I never.
always catches every bottom on CRV.
Yeah, because he traded. I think he has traded it the most out of
Yeah,
everybody.
he
So
knows
his trade
exactly
was
how it
great.
trades.
Yeah, and you know how it is if you trade it. You basically just know the everything, like the demands, the support, the resistance by heart, because you trade it so much.
Yeah,
C- CVX I haven't traded, I think, ever, maybe once in my lifetime, because yeah, I remember when there was some narrative with CRV, and I knew that the convex part was the other one, and I just longed it without even knowing what it actually does, just that it is in the same system. But that's, I think it was once some kind of news about CRV. But personally, I haven't even charted CRV in a long time. I just know that Alice is got in a great entry on it.
the curve wars. They're in a fight over our
Yeah,
curve lines
yeah,
apparently.
that was it, man. The curve wars. I forgot about that. Was it when CVX was always pumping before CRV, or was pumping way more than CRV? The curve wars. We had so many
Ah,
wars that I forgot most of them. Let's see, funding rate on safe when starting going down. On the 1 minute, oh, maybe it will lose this range. Let's see the same scenario as the other one, but it's still in a range, so who knows. Volume is dying down. Funding, it's still heavy negative, but at least it's not 2%. So maybe this is over, at least for now. We'll see. Okay, shall we close it?
yeah, I think that's been a good stream. I mean, the most educational streams I've ever done. I usually just. Oh, yesterday I was telling everyone like my fucking life story, and like we didn't even look at the charts for like 40 minutes. Of the first part of the stream was just me waffling on about my trading journey.
And those are
I
the
got
best, man. Those are you
yeah,
learn them with that in mind. Let me tell you guys a story about funding rates. I forgot to tell you guys earlier, very quickly. It was 2021. I still had Bitcoin spot, most of my portfolio. It was in Bitcoin spot. And back then, now it's not seen as much, but back then you had inverse perps, especially on Bybit and Binance. If you remember, everybody was trading, so basically you're putting Bitcoin as collateral, and you were paid in Bitcoin because everybody was wanting to stack more sats, stuff like that. And because of the bull run in 2021, let's say I wasn't as calm, or let's say calm with risk management. I was actually a DJ like everybody else in their first year, and I oversized an inverse perps position. And not only I oversized it, but funding was pretty positive for Bitcoin. I wanted to swing it. Now I did two mistakes there, where I actually lost money by winning, if you believe it or not. First mistake was that, of course, my TA knowledge was extremely limited, and even with that extremely limited knowledge, I still wasn't executed based on whatever I knew. So I was just randomly longing when I see green candles, because everything was going up as much. Always, so I was just longing Bitcoin. So first of all, I top longed Bitcoin, which is not a good idea, with a wide stop loss on inverse perps on X5, with the idea of adding more if it goes lower, because I thought that it will not go very low. Long story short, I added a bunch more as it was basically doing some kind of manual TWAP, and I ended up being a negative, like being more than 20% of my portfolio negative on it. So I was negative in the trade, but also I was paying funding for 2 weeks because I held that position for 2 weeks. Now, at the end of those 2 weeks, I closed my position where I was in a way decent with gaining, so I haven't lost uh, in that position itself, but I paid so much in funding that I actually was in a negative loss. I paid like almost more than 10K something in funding in 2 weeks on Bitcoin.
That's
So and it was,
insane.
imagine, I mean, the equivalent of 10K in Bitcoin.
So
And
it's
I
like
think
100K now.
yeah, man, I didn't understand what is happening. So first of all, like, because why didn't I just, why didn't I just buy more spot? Because I didn't have USDT actually. That's why that's why I was trading inverse perps. Uh, but basically, I ended up with like a 6 or 7K win, but paid 10K in funding. Of course, Bitcoin went even more up after that, but I would probably be even worse in funding if I would still hold it. But
Mm.
even with that, okay, I lost 3K in nominal value, in dollar nominal value. But actually, I was, so how stupid was I when I was trading Bitcoin with inverse perps? So I was collateralizing Bitcoin, and I was losing Bitcoin. I still ended up losing Bitcoin, not only dollars. When my whole purpose is to have more Bitcoin. At the end of the day, I would have even more Bitcoin or the same if I wouldn't have taken that perp trade for 2 weeks because of the funding. So you can lose a lot in funding if you oversize. Of course, the main point is that I oversized aggressively on that position and I kept it too long. So first of all, don't oversize. Always have some kind of risk management. Ideally, do not, if it's positive funding, do not try to swing on perps, oversize, maybe buy spot if you still have USDT. And don't do what I did, trading inverse perps and ending up. Funny enough, I lost more Bitcoin on inverse perps overall in 2021 trading inverse perps than I actually made, as in PNL. What I was lucky with is that I had the rotation from ETH BTC, and I bought ETH with a lot of mostly of my portfolio, and then I sold it for 2x in that push in 2021. And basically that offsetted all of my inverse perp losses, and I managed to make profit also, good profit in 2021. That's the only thing that saved me. An ETH BTC spot trade, basically selling my Bitcoin for ETH and then holding ETH in its run, and then selling for 2x because that was my target.
Making
So
money from
yeah,
ETH. Insane.
good times, man. Good times.
Good time.
Yeah, probably it will never happen again, but it's okay. Well, ideally it will happen again. Okay, thank you guys for joining. I hope it was informative. I hope you feel better, JD.
Yeah. Oh, this podcast going
Speedy
around everywhere.
recovery, man. Yeah, speedy
Cheers, mate.
recovery, man.
All right.
Have a good night.
Have a
See you guys.
good night, everyone. See you guys next week. Goodbye.